It's 6 p.m. right here in Douala, same time in Muyuka in the southwest region of the country. Good evening, dear viewers. This is a 6 p.m. edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe television, and for presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. First, our major stories. Cameroonians are convergent and divergent views on whether the May 20th National Unity Day should be celebrated, while others agree that such a day should be celebrated. Another school of thought says such a day shouldn't be celebrated because the unity of the country has been shattered by multiple crises. Paramount among them is Anglophone crisis, which has led to civil deaths for the past 7 years and resulting to civil casualties. Also in this edition of the news, we'll talk health, as over 35% of Cameroonians are hypertensive, with 17,000 deaths recorded yearly. Commemorating World Hypertension Day, cardiologists urge the population to get themselves regularly screened in order to avoid further complications. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. You made the right choice. Several persons without identification documents have been arrested in Kapa, Suza, and other parts of the Mongo division of the Lithra region following a security operation carried out by the National Gendarmerie. The security operation, aimed at stamping out insecurity from the area, also saw the seizure of some dangerous items. From Armstrong Sanda reports.
The security operation, dubbed Operation Tentacule, followed numerous security complaints received from inhabitants of Suza and surrounding localities of the Mongo division of the Lithra region. The complaints, according to Lithra Legion Gendarmerie officials, sent out on violent aggressions, burglary, armed robbery, rapes and kidnappings. The operation, headed by the commander of the Lithra Gendarmerie Legion, took the men in uniform to several neighborhoods and suburbs in the area. In the neighborhoods, they controlled personal identification documents, followed house checks and receipt of items, household equipment and vehicles.
Nous sommes venus ici aujourd'hui. J'ai dit à certains que la gendarmerie n'est pas là pour vous nuire.
After hours of checks in control, tens of individuals without identification documents were intercepted.
C'est le cœur du bandit qui fait comment? Il part. C'est-à-dire que dès que vous voyez la gendarmerie, et c'est le rapport que je viens d'avoir, dès qu'on voit la gendarmerie, tout le monde fuit.
Same with objects of doubtful origin and without identification documents. These include gas bottles, TV screens, motorcycles, rudimentary weapons, guns and bullets.
Votre sécurité doit être assurée avec vous, pas contre vous, pas sans vous.
The National Gendarmerie says innocent and harmless individuals will be freed after a due verification and identification process.
And now we talk something else. May 20th remains one of the major significant dates in the history of Cameroon, as Cameroonians celebrate the reunification of the two Cameroon on this date. A historian, Gimdo Gilbert, says national unity is far from being a reality in Cameroon. In the following report compiled by Innocent Aze, the historian revises how May 20th came about.
While many compatriots of President Paul Biya might just be celebrating May 20 in fanfare, remembering only the unity of two Cameroons with different backgrounds in 1972, historians deem it imperative to keep the traces of these historical dates at the back of their mind.
Put in place or instituted in Cameroon following the outcome of the plebiscite in southern Cameroon with an overwhelming vote for reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. When that occurred on February 11, the two states came together in a centralized federal structure, which I think, according to the political actors of the time with President Amadou Ahidjo at the helm, was considered as a preparatory phase towards the eventual institution of a unitary system of government. So for the 11th,
at this stage, the living together was felt not enough. Thus, the need for a better
the federal system, which ended in May 1972, a referendum was conducted in Cameroon. That means in the two states of East and West Cameroon, where campaigns were essentially focused on the advantages of the unitary system of government on one hand and the disadvantages of the federal system on the other hand, to make sure that only advantages of the unitary system sink into Cameroonians' minds.
It is for this reason that May 20 is celebrated yearly in grandeur and color.
It is worth celebrating for three reasons. One, the historic German-Cameroon period, which reminds Cameroonians of always being together before the separation. Secondly, that sense of nationhood among Cameroonians that is supposed to be promoted. And thirdly, a psychological nation which trickles down to a material nation where Cameroonians are supposed to build together, belong together, and share together.
Gimdo Gilbert thinks great minds will dash on reconstructing national unity, which is a far-fetched reality in Cameroon, given that it has frustrated Cameroonians, especially Anglophones, who are today seeking an independent state.
And in a similar story, civil society actors point out to the poor management of the country's unity as the reason for the country's broken and sick state today. For the past close to 8 years, neighborhood is seriously threatened by the Anglophone crisis, which badly affected growing ills and all kinds in the society. This is what civil society actors like Museke Lucas Lyonga are saying. They were speaking to Babla Jonathan in this excerpt compiled by Cedric Chakutu.
Unity, there is peace, there is development, there is love, and there is victory. So from this quotation, you are going to agree with me that there is no unity in Cameroon, because Cameroonians present day are killing themselves, torturing themselves. If you look at the level of immorality in Cameroon, the level of corruption, the level of embezzlement in Cameroon amongst the top government officials, the level of selfishness, you are going to agree with me that there is no unity in Cameroon. When we talk about national unity and the state of unity in Cameroon, we are talking about oneness. National unity is a state of oneness amongst people from different ethnic group or from different religions, from different backgrounds, whether rich or poor, tall or short. Everybody, the people from the north, people from all parts of Cameroon. That is when we talk about national unity, that you people agree together. You people have share your vision together. That is why we talk about national unity. And when we go through with this definition of national unity, you are going to agree with me that there is no unity in Cameroon.
The national unity in Cameroon is a very big problem because the unity has not been properly managed for the good of Cameroonians, and you can see for it that's the result of the ongoing Anglophone crisis, the ongoing Anglophone conflict, the ongoing Anglophone war in the northwest and the southwest region of Cameroon. So I just wish to say that the state of the unity in Cameroon is a problem, and it has resulted in a very big conflict and crisis.
You just listened there to Lapana Tasha Mama, Cameroonian civil socialist leader and writer based in Cyprus, and also Musoke Lucas Lyonga, civil society leader. Away from that, only authorized political parties with representations at the National Assembly and the Senate will participate in the May 20 celebrations in Douala. The information was re-echoed today at the Beseke Ceremonial Ground during the rehearsals in preparation of the May 20th National Day celebration. Smajikan Gabriel has the details.
Right behind me, you will notice trainees from the Rapid Intervention Battalion Force B from the Manowo Bay. They are one of the innovations that we're going to have here at the Beseke Ceremonial Ground on Monday when the National Day celebration will be held. It is the first time they will be participating here in Beseke in the 20th May celebration. Another innovation at this year's edition of the National Day celebration will be the special emphasis laid on the women in the security corps. Reasons why the women gendarmes, those in the land army and national security will have their separate squares. In the military parade, that will have 21 squares. The military parade in Douala will be coordinated by Colonel Nsomo Mvomo Patrick. Meanwhile, the civilian march past will involve 4,500 civilians from primary, secondary and higher institutions of learning alongside political parties from Douala 1 to 5 subdivisions. For this year's march past, the condition for any political party to be part of the event, they are supposed to be legalized and have representatives at the National Assembly and the Senate. Other activities that will culminate to this year's edition of the 20th May here at the Beseke ground in Douala will be the award of medals to meritorious Cameroonian citizens and also the award of trophies to some military officials who did well in the course of activities to mark the 20th May celebration. Equinoxe Television News at the Beseke ceremonial ground. Sophie Chunke, Smart Nchikan Gabriel.
Thanks a bunch, Smaji Kangable. And away from activities connected to the May 20th National Unity Day celebration, the Southwest Regional Chief of Insurance and Monetary Affairs has revealed that the insurance sector is barely gaining steam after being greatly affected by the ongoing Anglophone crisis. Lydia Efofa was speaking to the press at the end of the second edition of the Southwest Insurance Day that took place in Limbe. Our reporter Davison Maimo reports on how the situation is ongoing.
Material damage or destruction in the Southwest region since the Anglophone crisis escalated some 6 years ago is estimated to be hundreds of millions of CFA francs. Most of the properties destroyed or damaged, especially individual properties, have yet to have insurance claims, while others were not insured, leading to huge financial losses. The Regional Chief for Insurance and Monetary Affairs, Lydia Efofa, says the Southwest insurance sector has been greatly affected by the ongoing Anglophone crisis. Thus, the need for the second edition of the Insurance Day in the Southwest region to have as objective of sensitizing and educating the public on the importance of insurance.
We all know that the situation in the Southwest region is not really enabling the insurance sector to thrive, but the government is doing everything possible to ensure a very flexible environment. Constant sensitization that is going on. People are subscribing to insurance policies, and as the days go by, things are getting stable and the sector is getting back to its.
However, some business persons say the bottlenecks in the follow-up of insurance benefits are one of the reasons for uninsured properties. These officials from the Ministry of Finance assured the insured of government readiness in assisting them.
That's one of the reasons why we're here, to tell the people that hold your insurance, because you know that if something happens to you that is bad, the insurance company will pay you. And once you have your policy and that insurance company doesn't pay you, come to us. We have the means, we have all the resources at our disposal to enable them, to ask them, to constrain them to pay.
Bringing together officials of insurance company and that from the Ministry of Finance, the second edition of the Southwest Insurance Day took place in Limbe and was presided over by the Inspector General at the Southwest Governor's Office.
And now we talk health. Hypertension remains one of the major causes of death in Cameroon. The medical condition is caused by several factors such as obesity, stress, including an unhealthy lifestyle. On the occasion of World Hypertension Day celebrated today, May 17th, cardiologists call on the population to regularly get themselves screened. Asia Lucy Liengu, our health reporter, tells us more.
Cardiologists in Cameroon reveal that 35% of the population are suffering from high blood pressure, with over 17,000 deaths recorded each year. Many people are still ignorant of their medical conditions. The case of Marie-Josiane Gore, a high blood pressure patient, she says she was not aware of the disease, but a sharp pain in her chest pushed her to the hospital where she was diagnosed of hypertension. The medical condition occurs when one's blood pressure is above 180 millimeters of mercury, higher than 120 millimeters of mercury.
Nous avons principalement 5 organes qui sont atteints.
According to Dr. Jibrila, a cardiologist, 5 organs can be damaged when a patient is hypertensive. It includes the heart, brain, retina, kidney, and arterial blood vessels. Therefore, patients suffering from high blood pressure are at risk of stroke, heart attack, and kidney failure. Speaking to the press in Yaoundé on the occasion of the World Hypertension Day, Cameroon's Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manawuda Malachi, advised the population to:
the first step of controlling high blood pressure is knowing your blood pressure level. I therefore encourage you all to go regularly to the nearest health facilities for routine checks. Additionally, it's essential to use reliable and precise measuring devices to obtain accurate results.
This year, Cameroon joins the international community to observe the World Hypertension Day under the theme, Measure your blood pressure accurately, control it, live longer.
And now we take this advertorial. Some mothers in Douala have been drilled with basic skills on how to ensure that their babies are strong and healthy. They were encouraged by nutritionists to be conscious about the quality of food given to their kids. The gathering, organized by Maternal, will go a long way in helping moms raise healthy children. Details in this report.
On a bright day in Douala at Bonaberi, Maternal, the leading chocolate drink brand in Cameroon, showcased its unwavering commitment to child nutrition. This was done through Maternal Supermaman seminar held at the Municipal Cycle Hall in Bonasama. This gathering is more than just a meeting. It's a platform for sharing and exchanging ideas where mothers can learn from experts in nutrition and psychology. The theme of the day, Awakening and Nutrition for the School-Age Child, a topic that resonates with every mother who wants the best for her child. Maternal organized the third Supermaman seminar, a testament to their dedication to fostering healthy eating habits in children. Expert nutritionists reminded moms that food plays a vital role in preparing children to learn and ensuring they are healthy enough to attend school every day.
Mothers should ensure that their children have a healthy breakfast before leaving the house. The children should drink a lot of water to stay hydrated throughout the day.
Through this event, Maternal aims to empower mothers, equipping them with the knowledge they need to ensure their children's well-being and success in school. The psychology talk was dedicated to discussing on school children intellectual development. Mothers received tips and teachings on how they can help the children develop their full potential both at school and at home.
Every child is unique. Each child has a special potential. If the child is not performing well in the expected potential, let her identify the right potential of the child and promote it.
The watchwords were identify the type of intelligence of every child, develop their self-confidence, and promoting intellectual development with motivation adapted to each age stage.
I learned about having a balanced diet for the children every day. I learned about the 6 classes of food that the children should have.
The supermoms shared their experiences through personal testimonies, tips, and recipes for the nutrition and well-being of our little champions. The debates were fascinating and full of lessons from both the nutritionist, psychologist, and the supermoms. Maternal encouraged all mothers in the role, reminding them that they are strong, brave, and capable of rising to any challenge. Maternal wishes a good preparation for the end-of-year exams and full success to all its little champions. Maternal, nurturing the superwoman in every mother.
Maternal, your daily fuel.
And that advertorial ends this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is a historian. He's known as Gimdo Gilbert, and we'll be discussing about the upcoming May 20th National Unity Day celebration that is coming come Monday. Good evening, Gimdo Gilbert. It is a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Thank you, ma. Glad being here again. Good evening, televiewers. Thank you.
Gimdo Gilbert, can you brief our viewers on the history of the May 20th National Unity Day to be celebrated a few days from now?
It's my job, if I have to do so, to Cameroonians. The Unity State Day, called 20th May, sometimes when you say brief or deliver us on the history of the 20th May, it's a little bit complicating because there is origin and there is also evolution to this very important event Cameroonians are waiting on Monday. We'd like to start from 1961, when a federal system of government was put in place or instituted in Cameroon, following the outcome of the plebiscite in southern Cameroon with an overwhelming vote for reunification with the Republic of Cameroon. When that occurred on February 11, the two states came together in a centralized federal structure, which I think, according to the political actors of the time, with President Amadou Ahidjo at the helm, was considered as a preparatory phase towards the eventual institution of a unitary system of government. So for the 11 years of the federal system, which ended in May 1972, a referendum was conducted in Cameroon. That means in the two states of East and West Cameroon, where campaigns were essentially focused on the advantages of the unitary system of government on one hand, and the disadvantages of the federal system on the other hand, to make sure that only advantages of the unitary system sink into Cameroonians' minds to permit them or to enable them vote yes, like it happened on May 20th, 1972. An overwhelming yes was voted in the referendum in both states. And with the coming to light of the new dispensation or the new political system, West Cameroon disappeared, East Cameroon disappeared, and other federal institutions like state assemblies, like state judiciaries, and then you have the West Cameroon House of Chiefs and others. The post of Vice President of the Federal Republic disappeared, and instead the Unitary National Assembly Speaker was created. The nature of the legislature changed, among so many other institutions that were modified. And a peculiar characteristic of this was the June 2nd, 1972 Constitution that was drawn up to reflect the new dispensation. Now, from then, Cameroonians, Amadou Ahidjo decided that Cameroonians have come together in a more integrated, a more unified way. Therefore, it is worthy of celebration, and that's why on every 20th May there is a very colorful and glamorous celebration of the 20th May in Cameroon.
Gimdo Gilbert, going back to what was agreed during the constitutional referendum that made the country a unitary state, some Cameroonians expressed frustration and disappointment over the fact that the decision taken during the Fumban conference was never respected. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, and that's why I decided to go back and begin from the Fumban Conference, the Fumban Constitutional Conference, where a federal framework was adopted in Cameroon and which governed Cameroon. It's unfortunate that while campaigning for the unitary state, nothing good about the federation was mentioned to Cameroonians. Everything bad was portrayed to Cameroonians, and the level of bilingualism in 1972 was still very young, and Cameroonians of both states were not actually mastering the two languages. Campaigns in English Cameroon in French could not actually sing well, just like in French Cameroon, the East Cameroon, campaigns in English could not actually sing well. So that baby bilingualism at that time seemed to have hampered a lot of things. But coming back to decisions taken in the Fumban itself, like I earlier said, it was a centralized federal system of government, which in its own structure was very disappointing to Southern Cameroonians or to West Cameroonians who came into union with the Republic of Cameroon. Disappointed because it was uneasy for them to actually manifest some autonomy, some reasonable autonomy within that federal institute, within that federal dispensation. Most of the powers rested in the hands of the federal president, which could permit him to modify the constitution, which could permit him to come out with decrees, which could permit him to use justice, to use the army and use other institutions at will, because he was given federal executive powers as head of state, as head of the army, as head of government. He was commander-in-chief of the army. He had so much powers which were already disappointing to Southern Cameroonians. Nevertheless, there was a clause in that constitution which stated that any other modification which could change the present dispensation means the federal system, was unacceptable. But then the preamble itself contradicted it by saying that the power to Cameroonians is supreme. The Cameroonians, they had the right to determine, they had the right to exercise their power. So I think the President of the Republic at the time took advantage of the preamble of the Constitution and had to drive across the federal to the unitary system of government. The federal system was beneficial mostly to the Francophones because the federal constitution itself was a revised constitution of the Republic of Cameroon, which they met with Anglophones in Fuman. So it is clear that Anglophones came out disappointed, but the frustration came in when the federal system was modified into a unitary state, and from 1972, the position of Anglophones within the Union began to sink and sink and sink and almost disappearing till we are celebrating now.
Now, how can you describe the state of national unity with the intercommunal conflicts, hate speeches, armed conflict in Anglophone Cameroon, and corruption and many other challenges we are currently facing at the moment?
Thank you. I would like to say here that conflict is not only in Anglophone Cameroon. When we say national unity, I always like to go beyond just uniting French Cameroon, East Cameroon, and West Cameroon. I always like to go beyond that, because when you look at the anthropology, you consider Cameroon anthropologically, you find that this issue of this so much paraded Anglophone, Francophone issue in Cameroon, it's just because of the two languages and probably because of cultural heritage that the Anglophones took from Britain and the Francophones took from France. But when you look at Cameroon anthropologically, you find that the grass field is made of Anglophones and Francophones. The Cameroon littoral is made up of Anglophones and Francophones. So national unity to me crosses beyond the boundaries of just Anglophone, Francophone. When you look at North Cameroon, it is not at ease. When you go to East Cameroon, it is not at ease. When you get to the interior of Cameroon itself, intercommunal conflicts, cultural conflicts, and conflicts beyond boundaries, cultural boundaries, economic boundaries, make this nation never at ease. To the hands of the government, it's a political project. It's political will. Because those conflicts lack commonly what we call genuine dialogue. In the North Cameroon, there are some conflicts which can only be resolved militarily, like in North Cameroon, militarily, like in East Cameroon. But when you look at the conflict with Anglophones, military solution happens to fall short of being the real answer to the problem. Other intercommunity conflicts in Cameroon demand a lot of dialogue, demand government, calls on the government to empower the stakeholders, which are not necessarily government, decrees and arrêtés signed by divisional officers, by governors, and decrees signed by the President of the Republic do not actually solve those problems. I think that the country should empower the stakeholders of the conflict, intercommunity conflicts within the borders of Cameroon, like Northeast and the Northwest and the Southwest, so that they can be able to reduce the rate of conflicts in Cameroon, and give people the reason to celebrate the National Day or the National Unity Day.
Thank you so much, Gimdo Gilbert, for being part of Talking Point tonight. And that's what we'll put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs on ETV. Have a wonderful weekend.